I think that after this film we can all agree that Sydney has the worst family in the history of movies? Scream 4, released in 2011 and is directed by Wes Craven, who's also directed the first 3 Scream films. I've already talked about him enough with all of these Scream reviews, so let's continue. And this film is starring Neve Campbell, former WCW champion David Arquette, Courtney Cox, Emma Roberts, and Hayden Panettiere. It's been 11 years since the entry of our last Scream film, and the small murderous town of Woodsboro is celebrating the 15th anniversary from the first Ghostface killings. And wouldn't you know it, Cindy is now back in town to do a little book signing for a book she wrote about the original Scream movie. But when a dead body turns up in the trunk of her car, unbeknownst to her, the entire town goes unnoticed because it's clear that another Ghostface killer is now on the loose. So there was an 11-year gap between Scream 3 and Scream 4. You'd think they would have had time enough to reinvent the wheel a little bit, or reinvent the rules and reinvent everything surrounding the Ghostface killer and all of these Scream movies. But we just fall right back into our typical pattern. Sydney, no matter how hard she tries to stay away, always finds herself getting back to Woodsboro just around the time where it's an anniversary of a murder, and someone gets the bright idea to put that Ghostface mask back on and start killing teenagers all within the town. And they always target Sydney's family. I'm beginning to wonder, like, what is it? What is it about Sydney that all of these people are like, you know what? I'm gonna risk my life of not being incarcerated by killing everyone related to Sydney and then also Sydney. I'm gonna try that just because it's Sydney and we just need to do it. What is so special about her? Someone answer that for me. This is the 4th film that someone has tried to take her out of, and they were unsuccessful here because, you know, we all know she comes back for the 5th one. But I think even Neve Campbell is sitting there asking herself, why do I do these? Like, why am I coming back for this shit? She looks like she is completely phoning it in here. Yeah, well, haven't really done a lot of acting gigs in the last couple of years, so, hey, you want to do another Scream film? I'm still alive. So she's here, collecting a paycheck, so good for her. I've come to realize that these movies are actually more about David Arquette and Courtney Cox, Gale Weathers, and Dewey. Dewey in this one has a great career progression where he started off as a deputy sheriff, and now he's like full-blown sheriff of this small and miserable little frickin' town. And Gale Weathers is still doing her Gale Weathers thing, but it's not really working out for her. Her inspiration is gone, so she's written all the books that she can think about writing, and she feels stuck in this little town with her boyfriend or husband. Or were they married in this movie? I think they were married in real life at this time, but were they married? The characters married? I don't think they were. But she's definitely feeling stuck because Dewey wants to be sheriff of this small town, and Gale Weathers definitely doesn't want to be here, so it does a good job of setting up even our main characters as the potential killer. Usually at this time in a horror franchise, the lead person, if they're still alive, usually turns out to be like associated with the killer, or turns out to be the killer. So I was shocked to find out that that didn't really happen here. But the movie does a great job of keeping the audience guessing as to who the killer is, because once again, every single person that we're introduced to has a great reason, or at least a logical reason, to announce themselves as the killer. Hayden Panettiere shows up here as one of the best friends of Sydney's niece. She's a little horror cinephile, so when she's talking about all of the stab movies and all these other horror films, when she's on the call with the killer and he's quizzing her on all these things, she starts rambling off movies, and I'm like, that's hot. That is very hot. You are very attractive to me right now. It's very weird saying that, though, seeing how I remember her from Remember the Titans, and just to see her grow up, which, I mean, that's everyone does that eventually, but it's just still weird. She's the little girl from Remember the Titans, and she's kind of very attractive in this movie. Emma Roberts shows up here as Sydney's niece, who I thought I remember seeing previews for her. Like, wasn't she part of the Scream Queens TV show? Or maybe I'm thinking of that American Horror Story TV show. I know she's part of that. Anyway, she has a knack for horror, and I think it all started here with this movie. But sadly, I think this movie just falls into the rinse and repeat that this franchise has become, at least up to the first 4 films. Some people are murdered, and then people are like, oh, it's probably nothing, or maybe it's all just one big joke, and then they see the killer for themselves, and the police, for whatever reason, even though they're supposed to be keeping a perimeter, never see the bad guy. And then they follow the formula about how the reveal, or like the big climactic moment of the movie, ends at some type of town party, which again is part of what this franchise is known for, about being that meta horror film, like the movie within the movie is aware of itself. I get it, and it was unique at the time in 1996 when it first came out, but now we're here at 2011, and it's just the same thing. The uniqueness of it being meta is not so unique anymore. I do like the opening of this movie though, when it goes from like each of the stab films, like we're seeing the very first scene where the 2 friends, they're sitting down on the couch, we have the 2 blondes, then we have the other cute girls, and they're like, oh, let me go up to the door and I'll answer it. No, I'm gonna be stabbed, and then it turns out to be the other film. So it's like a movie within a movie within a movie within a movie. Yeah, cool. I do like that little segment. I think that's Wes Craven having a lot of fun with this. Like, yeah, you probably know what to expect here. We know it. We're aware of it. So we're just gonna have fun. Out of all the Scream sequels so far, I think I would call this my favorite just because it feels more grounded. It feels more realistic as opposed to Scream 2 and 3. Still, nothing compares to the uniqueness of the original Scream movie. So after watching Scream 4, I go, okay, cool. Again, why do we care about Sydney so much that everyone wants to kill her and her whole entire family sucks? Because in every single movie, it's a family member or someone related to the family. Why do we care? What's gonna happen in the 5th Scream movie, which apparently is just called Scream? Like, there's no numbers behind it, which is like the horror reboot thing to do, where we're gonna do like a sequel, but it's not really a sequel. It's a reboot, so we're just gonna call it the original movie's name to confuse people when they're purchasing it online, or they're trying to get their grandmother to buy the DVD for them. So they're like, oh, I don't know which one to buy, so I'm going to buy both because they both say Scream. Here you go, son. That may or may not have happened to other things for me growing up over the years, but, you know, whatever. Those are good times. It's a great history for me. I'm gonna give Scream 4 3 out of 5 Blu-rays.
Not exactly what I had in mind, but not bad.
So guys, if you've seen Scream 4, what did you think about it? Or if you've never seen it before and you stumbled across it because of this video, then comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell. See you the next time I'm released my next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time on the channel, but in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.